March 18, 1990, Boston, Massachusetts. It's just past 1 a.m. on a cold, rainy night. Inside the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, one of America's most unique art collections, two men dressed as police officers are about to make history. Not by protecting art, but by stealing it. By morning, 13 irreplaceable works of art will vanish. Rembrandt, Vermeer, Degas, gone without a trace. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist, the greatest art theft in history. More than 30 years later, the frames hang empty, silent witnesses to a crime that remains unsolved to this day. Before we dive into the heist, we need to understand the woman behind the museum. Isabella Stewart Gardner. Born in 1840 to a wealthy New York family, Isabella was not your typical socialite. She was bold, eccentric, and deeply passionate about art. After traveling across Europe, she began collecting world-class works, pieces by Titian, Rembrandt, Vermeer, Manet, and countless others. In 1903, she opened her museum to the public, a Venetian-style palace in the heart of Boston. Every artwork was placed exactly as she wanted it. In her will, she left one clear instruction: no piece in the museum shall ever be moved or sold. Over a century later, that same rule still stands, and it's what makes the empty frames from the heist even more haunting. It's 1:24 a.m., March 18, 1990. The St. Patrick's Day celebrations have just ended. The streets are quiet. Two men in fake police uniforms pull up to the side door of the museum in a small hatchback. They ring the buzzer. Boston Police, we've had reports of a disturbance. May we come in? Against protocol, Richard Abath opens the door, believing they're real officers. Seconds later, one of the cops says, "You look familiar. I think there's a warrant out for your arrest. Step away from the desk." Abath is handcuffed, duct-taped, and taken to the basement, where he and another guard are bound to pipes. They'll stay there for the next 7 hours. Meanwhile, the thieves roam freely through the museum, disabling motion sensors, wrapping artworks in fabric, and even taking the time to stop by the security camera recording, pulling the tape out. They were in the building for 81 minutes. When they left, they took 13 priceless works, including The Concert by Vermeer and Storm on the Sea of Galilee by Rembrandt. The value? Over $500 million, the biggest art theft in modern history. At 8:15 a.m., the morning shift arrives, but the museum is locked. They buzz repeatedly. No answer. When they finally enter, the guards are discovered tied up, terrified. The museum is in chaos. Empty frames hanging on the walls, shards of glass on the floor. The FBI launches an immediate investigation. Dozens of agents search the museum, collect fingerprints, and interview staff. But what they find raises more questions than answers. The thieves didn't take the most valuable pieces. They ignored a Michelangelo sketch and left behind a rare silver chalice. Why? Theory 1, they weren't professionals. Theory 2, they were stealing to order, hired by someone who wanted specific works. Whoever did this knew the museum's layout. They knew where the motion detectors were. That's not random. The stolen paintings were entered into Interpol's art database. Rewards were offered. But as weeks turned to months, and then years, the trail went cold. Over the decades, countless theories have emerged. Theory 1, the Boston mob. In the late 80s and early 90s, organized crime was rampant in Boston. Some believe local mobsters orchestrated the theft to use the paintings as bargaining chips for reduced sentences. Names like Carmelo Merlino, Bobby Donati, and David Turner were all investigated. Each had ties to major heists, but none were ever charged. Narrator. Theory 2, international smuggling. Others think the paintings were shipped overseas, to Europe or South America, sold on the black market to private collectors. Theory 3, inside help. Could Richard Abath, the guard who opened the door, have been involved? He was never charged, but questions about his behavior that night still linger. "I made a mistake that night. I let them in. I've lived with that every day." Despite new leads, wiretaps, and secret recordings, the paintings have never surfaced. No one has ever been arrested. More than 3 decades later, the Gardner Museum stands as both a masterpiece and a crime scene. The empty frames remain hanging on the walls, exactly where the stolen works once were. Isabella Stewart Gardner's will forbade the rearrangement of any artwork. So even in their absence, the painting's ghosts remain. Visitors stand silently before them, imagining what once filled those spaces. In 2013, the FBI publicly stated that they believe they know the identities of the thieves, but both men are dead. Still, the location of the paintings remains unknown. The museum, together with the FBI, continues to offer a $10 million reward for their safe return. It is the largest bounty ever offered by a private institution for stolen art. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum heist is more than a crime, it's a legend. It changed how museums protect art, it inspired books, documentaries, even Netflix series. But most of all, it left behind a haunting reminder of human greed and the fragility of beauty. Somewhere in a hidden room or a private collection, masterpieces by Vermeer and Rembrandt might still exist, waiting to be found. Until that day, the Gardner heist remains an unsolved riddle. A whisper from the past that still echoes through the halls of Boston. Thank you for watching. If you love true crime and mystery stories, subscribe for more deep dives into history's most fascinating unsolved cases.